Hi everyone, Mrs. Yam here for Headbands and Books. I have a special headband on today. Take a look. What do you see? Yeah, they're flowers. It reminds me of springtime. I'm wearing this headband because today I'm going to read you this book called Chrysanthemum. This is a book about this girl named Chrysanthemum, and she doesn't really like her name because she doesn't think it's special. But do you know what, boys and girls? All of your names are really special. You can even ask your families if it has a special meaning. So this book is going to tell us why Chrysanthemum's name is so special. The book is written by Kevin Henkes. He's the author, and an author writes the words. He's also the illustrator. He also drew the pictures. So let's find out what happens in this book. Chrysanthemum. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Do you see? That's Chrysanthemum when she was a baby. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with the fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum, school! But when Mrs. Cloud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. Here are some of her friends in class. There's Don and Eve and Lois and Al. And then here is Chrysanthemum. It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Look, how is she feeling? Sad, she's crying. "Oh, shh," said her mother. "Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome," said her father. "It's everything you are," said her mother. "Absolutely perfect," said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. "Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum, Chrysanthemum," she wrote. "She even looks like a flower," said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. "Let's pick her," said Rita, pointing. "Let's smell her," said Joe. Are those kids being nice to Chrysanthemum? No, it's so sad. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, "A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things." "Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria," said Mrs. Chudd. "Now put your head down." "I just cannot believe your name," Victoria said, and the students lined up together. "Neither can I," thought Chrysanthemum miserably. "Welcome home," said her mother. "Welcome home," said her father. "School is no place for me," said Chrysanthemum. "They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me." "Oh, shh," said her mother. "They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced," said her father. "Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours?" said her mother. "After all, it's absolutely perfect." Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charm. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. "Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemums," the flowers seemed to say. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twindle, the music teacher. Her voice was something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twindle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twindle led the students in scales. Oh! Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen to be Dainty Fairy Queen. Rita was chosen as the Spiffy Butterfly Princess. Joe was chosen as the all-important Pixie Messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. A daisy is another kind of a flower. Chrysanthemum's a daisy? Chrysanthemum's a daisy? Joe, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted, and she did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. "What's so humorous?" asked Mrs. Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Joe. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after a grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower. My name is Long, said Mrs. Twinkle. It is, said Joe. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. You are, said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, and she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. How do you think she's feeling about her name now? She feels so special and so happy. Joe, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. Call me Marigold, said Joe. I'm Carnation, said Rita, pointing. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Those are all names of flowers, and that's what they wanted to be called. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. The end. So friends, I hope you like this story called Chrysanthemum and to see how special her name was. I hope that you can find out what your name means and see how special it is. Thanks for listening. Bye.